What do you get when you mix free-flowing run and carry football, a second-half fade-out, two of your forwards limping out? You get Carlton versus West Coast. Round 14's weirdest, most frustrating, and possibly most repeated omnibus of a season in a game. Carlton walked away with the 4 points, but at what cost? Curnow had to be subbed. O'Keefe was put on ice. Harry Mackay already resting at home. And a second half that we've seen before. And West Coast, pathetic was the quote from their own coach early. Suddenly looked like a team again in the second half with a debutant who they picked up in mid-season putting on numbers. Let's unpack this one together because it's not as simple as just the scoreboard. There's more to it. Quarter one, the Blue Blitz. Carlton went 7 goals 4 to 1 goal 1. 24 inside 50s. Looking really good, playing some slingshot football and looking like they were up for the task. Lockie Fogarty burst into the game, kicking 3. Williams dominated them handball gets. And Curnow, even he hit the scoreboard. And the Eagles looked shell-shocked. McQualter, he labelled it himself. Pathetic as a display on Fox Foy. In the second half, there was an element of pulse. Tom McCarthy on debut begins to shine. He showed some intercepts, his good ball use, ending the game with a staggering 571 metres gained and 31 touches. Not bad for a mid-season draftee. Bailey Williams, he got the crowd up and about, kicking his second and third goals. And Carlton, they hit the scoreboard at half-time. 10 goals, 8, 46 points up. Curnow on ice and O'Keefe was about to go down. Quarter 3, TDK, he looked like the lone wolf at times and the Eagles responded. Mitch McGovern was hastily jettisoned down the back and we'd seen this tale from the Blues before, reacting to what was going on. The Blues lost midfield control in this, losing this quarter by 7 clearances to West Coast. Jamie Cripps kicked goals. Taiwo Diwa looked rebounding and working hard 2 ways on that wing. Eagles got up in this quarter, and then came quarter 4. Flat Blues, flying debutants. Carlton's ball movement stood still. Bailey Williams added his third. Eagles win the second half, 4 goals 6 to 2 goals 6. Allen goes down off the ball. Suspected injury to his plantaris. Final score, 12-14, 86. The Blues defeating West Coast 7 goals 10, 52. Now let's deep dive into this. The 33-minute clinic from the Blues and then crashing out. The Blues went real handball heavy in the opening term and tried to kick to get metres gained. They dominated the corridor, releasing Orazio Fantasia in and around the ball and Saad looking lively off halfback. Blues were scoring 5.2 from turnovers. Elite ball use, really looking to get this defensive half chain going. Then the second half stagnation. No tall forward structure, and they even moved McGovern down back. This allowed our forward line to be incredibly easily overwhelmed. DeCorning, he worked tirelessly. 28 hits out, 6 inside 50s. But with no second ruck, he started to tire late in the fourth. And the forward depth, Motlop, Durden, Fogarty, he faded in that second half. It really didn't help the Blues as they were resigned to deep, shallow entries. Then the systematic fade. This is 9 times out of 13 this season Carlton have been outscored in the second half. This isn't fatigue. This isn't skill. This is intensity, execution, identity, belief. And it seems that Carlton are playing with a real fear in that second half. You noticed it from the second bounce. The Blues looked like they'd seen this movie before, and it is an M. Night Shyamalan thriller. West Coast, pathetic to signs of promise. What changed in that second half? Well, McQualter firstly moved Allen behind the ball. Eagles switched to that contested grind. They controlled the tempo better, and they didn't let Carlton look for them handball chains that allow them to kick in uncontested areas, getting that long, direct game going. Tom McCarthy looks like a mid-season draft steal, 31 disposals. The first Eagle to top 30 disposals for what feels like forever And decision-making was elite. Low-risk options, decent intercepts, very good meters gained, and really got the deep kicks and got them out of trouble. The structure, though, is still very fragile. Too many clangers, there was some poor entries, and they were very wasteful inside 50. Bailey Williams, as a forward and also your ruck, is probably unsustainable. Oscar Allen is an important part of that. But the improvement showed. Harley Reid was pretty strong as well. He really had his moments and came to life at passages in that game. Let's go into the talking points. The forward injury crisis. What does that mean? Curnow's got a calf injury. He says he's going to be all right next week. The skeptic in the Blues in me says that could be a couple of weeks. Mackay now evidently has gone from being a slight niggle to potentially surgery. We don't know about O'Keefe's hammy. McGovern steps up and relives them Adelaide days as a forward, but it is the moment for Harry Lemmy. Let's look at them options. Option one is Harry Lemmy. You know, he's bustling in 200 centimetres. He's kicked a plethora of goals in the last couple of games, coming off a 4-goal game, albeit versus the Bull Ants. Natural lead-up forward, keeps his structure really tall, and he's a good little lead-up. Cons are he's raw, he hasn't played AFL that, and can he replicate Curnow's mobility? Probably in the last 2 games, he probably could, but long-term, that's it. Is he Jack Silvani? Do we move him back to forward? He's done it before, an experienced conduit as well, can also pinch it in the ruck if they need. The negatives, how good has he been down back? People talking about trading him and stuff don't realise when they say you can get an interceptor in the draft. Jack Silvani's a lockdown one-on-one defender. That frees up the other tools we've got. That's why the backline looks so tasty at the minute. So you don't really want to do that. Is it Mitch McGovern stays deep? He can clunk. He got some good goals in this game, and he's literally reliving his glory days. The negatives of this is he's one man, and already Charlie and Harry are very easy to manipulate and get 2 or 3 on them. Would that just be a risk playing him solo and leaving him deep? Or is it time to bring in an extra small? Maximum pressure, chaos, ground level, matches the modern day marauding forwards. The problem is no aerial targets, and it's easy for the tall defences to zone off. It's very interesting what the Blues do here because they're trialling lots of little things. Ashton Moyer going on the ball in the VFL, which we'll talk about later in the VFL wrap. Very interesting what the Blues do here because do you want to see Francis Evans come in for Curnow next week? Probably not, do you? So it's going to be interesting. Is it Lewis Young? Now, the good thing is that we've seen him do it. He's a good little stopgap. Do you keep him deep? Allow McGovern to work off him, which is good, and you keep it the same. It does feel like the low-risk option for me is Lemmy plus McGovern. 70-30 split. Feels it's the least disruptive. Lemmy provides that ability to play off the back of the pack. McGovern, he can roll up the ground deeper and really be that conduit. And I feel like Lemmy probably deserves the opportunity, and he gives the Blues a couple of games to see what it looks like and where he's at. How do they stop the second half slide? Now, it's easy. A lot of content creators, no doubt, are just going to say it's trash, burn the place down. That's not practical round 14. The Blues have got a season to do, and they've got to finish it well. So one of them would be looking at the midfield rotation, right? At the minute, Carlton are becoming very stagnant with that. No Sam Walsh. Obviously, that makes it a little bit hard, as we know. That is a nightmare at the minute. But could it be something as simple as the Blues try and add in and around the game players that we've already got there? This week we saw Motlop, Cooper Lord get 30% at the time. We saw Sherratt, Hewitt, Cripps and De Koning in there. But again, this is very similar to the structure the Blues have already had. And they've added the extra midfield rotations and just spread it between 3 players. Is this a chance now to bring Ollie Hollands in? Make Binns play a little bit more inside. Spurt them through 5 to 7 minutes in. Particularly at the end of each quarter, to try and keep these guys fresh. Hewitt and Sherratt doing almost 80% of the heavy lifting. That is where the fatigue sets in with this congested, very slow game style. It denies the team of natural run and carry options, and Voss did go into that Cripps, Hewitt, Sherratt mode very quickly in the third. Is it just adding them extra flotations, even maybe Adam Sard, trying to get yourself going? One thing I love about Ollie in the last couple of weeks is when the team slows down, he doesn't. The other one is reignite the corridor. The first half quarter handball receives were really strong. They were really high, plus 28, down to plus 2 in the second half. So Carlton wants to try and run like a triple link rule, we call it in soccer. So you go Sard, Chera, Fogarty as a preset exit every time you try and get the ball exiting out there. Try and get them runners. So that could be a little thing there around stoppages, particularly that Chera wins the ball. He looks for Sard, who looks to hit up Fogarty, who comes up deep down the wing. The other one is trying to find it. Do you kill the game or do you keep the foot? Blues in the second half spent 22% less time in the forward half, down 22. Implement a 2-minute type of lock and load press after the opponent's goal. That is where Carlton become very vulnerable when scores happen. Don't play the spare behind the ball. Keep 5 inside 50 and try and maintain that territory. Have 3 players that you are banning from leaving inside 50. You're attacking inside 50, so you've always got them outlooks. And then the next one is, how do you utilise the second relief in the ruck? De Koning was forced to ruck nearly all of this game after O'Keefe's injuries. That's where Carlton need to find a way to get TDK out of there, play him in the forward line, particularly if Mackay and Curnow are out, and try and give yourself an outlet to try and change the point of difference. And then the next one, in football, we have scoreboard triggers. In golf, you have these little triggers. Carlton were looking very strong, plus 39 at quarter time, plus 49 by the end. After that, the intensity drops, and we've seen this against Essendon. We saw it against GWS. Maybe setting a mental red line differential. So say plus 5 each 10-minute block. On-field leaders then can call for the squeeze, try and get that repeat entries, and try and look to try and maximise and go back to the attacking play. Charlie Curnow said that they enjoyed the first quarter, but Voss says it's not sustainable. Trying to go through these little blocks in quarters, as opposed to thinking of it, we've burnt 35% energy in the first quarter, so that means that we've got 65% of the gas. Use a bit of triggers to go up, go down. Try and put your foot off the gas when you get to a certain stage. Carlton really need to do that. And is it background noise or is it alarms? Outscored again 9 times in 13 games. Carlton are really struggling in this second half. Round to round, it does really feel a big issue. And at the minute, Carlton are one of the top scoring sides of the first half, but one of the worst in the second half. September, when it comes, Footy Titans, the last 3 premiers, literally pile on goals. Structure can paper over the cracks, but attitude cements these foundations. Voss's men have the blueprint. The back end of 2023, when there was nothing to lose, and they had to do it, and they did do it, quarter 1. But until they do that consistently, this fade will keep reappearing because the Blues choose to lead the game by 40 points and think that's job done. If they mindset change and think that divided by 10, 40 points is only 4, that will do it. So whether you bring players into this team, the mindset shift has to come first, because otherwise it's just papering over the cracks. That attitude and that discipline on the ground is what cements change. And that's something the Blues have got to do. Identity check. Do the Blues trust themselves? The dominant handball, kicking to territory, playing direct, that works. Too often they go passive when they have a lead. And as Voss said, it's not fatigue, it's focus. The Blues can't win and can't compete if they're only playing 2 or less quarters of football. West Coast, let's look at them. Pathetic, competitive, coaching tick. First quarter, they were really down on disposals, contested possessions, and inside 50s. After that, they won that second half. Did Miss Qualter's spray actually work? They made a few changes there. They were a lot more rambustious around stoppages. They tried to slow Carlton down. They put pressure on Carlton's halfbacks. And as we've seen often this year, making them kick to long contests does pay dividends. They got the change. One question I have for McQualter is, it's really obvious how to beat Carlton. Why did it take nearly 2 quarters for you to enact the most obvious game plan? And Oscar Allen and that free agency crowd, it's an injury that could be a pain in the bum. He's out of contract. He's linked to Hawthorn, Brisbane. What is this? I don't think it'll impact the compensation. People are saying it's going to impact the compensation. Remember, that's done on contract value and the amount. They're still not going to shortchange him. But the big issue for West Coast is what do they do in the short term? Bailey Williams, maybe that forward. Matt Flynn's going to have to be a lot more on the rug. They've got a few issues there, and it's going to be interesting. Is it time for Job Shanahan to come in? I feel like Job Shanahan coming in might inject a little bit of chutzpah into this team. Let's look at the turn of the tape then. Disposals 323. Carlton dominating possession there, 401. Inside 50, 60 Carlton, 46 for West Coast Eagles. Clangers, unforced errors, mistakes, as whatever you want to call them, 64 for the Blues, 56 for the Eagles. Hit-outs, Carlton won that quite comfortably, 36-20. Clearances, another issue for the Blues. Winning the hit-outs, not getting that midfield dominance. A big structural problem here. When you take that away from the Blues, it kills you. Goals, 7-12. Marks, 106 to Carlton, 77 to the Eagles, and tackles 58-41. Carlton's first quarter was very strong, but from there, again, hardly any goals, just 5 in that second half. 5 in the 3 quarters, not good enough. Momentum shift, the Eagles comfortably won, if you did it quarter by quarter, won this, but the Blues, again, another quarter, not only one quarter that had over 2 goals. Talking points then, Curnow, what do the Blues do with him? Do they risk him next week or do they bring in Lemmy? Fogarty, he can be a little bit of a live wire. It seems, though, that we only get 1 or 2 small forwards working. Tom McCarthy, how happy are you guys and girls with him? What can McQualter do next? What is the next development of this West Coast Eagles team? And Mitch McGovern, 3-goal haul. Are we getting the Adelaide one? Drop your 3-2-1s in the comments. I'd love to hear your Carlton forward solutions, and also what you would do if you're Eagles list manager. Carlton banked the 4 points. They've banked a few more injury concerns, a few more lost quarters as well, but one massive question, why don't they trust their footy, and what are they? West Coast, reality check in the first half, some bright lights in the second. Tom McCarthy, remember the name. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. We cover every round, loads of content coming up. And we also specialise in the draft. I've been PommyInOz, and that was another episode of the Navy Blues Omnibus.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played